In just a few moments, we'll be having a very special part of our health fair presentation, as Dr. Arthur Weaver will be coming forward and sharing with us. And if you have read some of the literature, he is now 100 years old and still preaching about health. I would like to introduce to you my good friend, Dr. Arthur Weaver. I've been on a few mission trips with him in the past to Costa Rica and Peru, and he did amazing jobs leading out there, but I've also seen him with the stop smoking clinics and a variety of other things. And over the years, it hardly occurred to me, as I'm growing older myself, it hardly occurred to me that he might be up in the territory that he's in today, but still going along praising the Lord and preaching about health. And I thought it would be a nice part of our health fair to have him share maybe a little bit about the 8 laws of health, and then a little bit about his own life and longevity. Go ahead.
Well, some people have asked me, how does it seem to grow old? Are there any advantages? And I said that, well, there's one big advantage of getting old. You don't have much peer pressure. Particularly when you're 100, you know. You look around, and I went to medical school with 100 in my class, and I think there's only maybe 2 that are still living, including not including myself. But I thank the Lord I'm here, and I thank the Lord you're here, because I have been, of all people, most blessed. I have been blessed with my family. We had 6 children. I had a lovely wife that lived with me for 72 years. And then, unfortunately, she died. And then I was chased down by another woman. So I tell people I've actually been married for 77 years, because I've been married with my lovely Mary Lou here for the last 5 years. So God has blessed me, 6 kids, 17 grandkids, and 37 great-grandkids. And if you think you've got problems, think of Mary Lou trying to remember all those 37 great-grandkids, but she's actually doing pretty well. I've been blessed with my practice. I had private practice of surgery for 5 years in Pontiac. Then I had privilege of 5 years of mission surgery in Pakistan. And for the last 35 years of my practice, I taught surgery at Wayne State University. So I retired from there in 1998. And I'll tell you who's really hurting. Those are the people that I took what do you call it when they get your money back on? Annuities, yes. Those people that I took the annuities for my retirement and my time in the service and whatnot. But I'm sure they'll catch up somehow with someone else. So you can see I have been blessed. We helped a lot of people stop smoking. Anybody here that, at least 3 or 4, 5 people here that I helped work with the good Lord to help them stop smoking. And we had, Brother Ray told about our projects of building churches in Central and South America, and a lot of people joined me there. And then we had the health camp. And a lot of people were able to enjoy that. So I've had a, shall we say, a prosperous life, and I'm still here. Praise the Lord. And I think they invited me to come as Exhibit A. That if you live appropriately, you may be blessed. And I don't think it's guaranteed, but you may be blessed by longevity. And I think perhaps more than how long you live is how you spend your final years. Are you able to be productive? And, or are you having somebody roll you over and change your diapers somewhere in a nursing center? Well, how to live healthily? You had a cooking school, and I think they did a wonderful job and a presentation. I see they've got my lecture right here. The 8 laws of health, and the numeric, you notice, stands new start. That's a good way to remember, and being how they've got it here, we'll start right there. Nutrition. Well, there's every evidence now that the original diet provided for man in scriptures is the best diet for long life and freedom from many of the diseases. And I think most of you would be happy to know that kind of a diet significantly reduces your risk of cancer, heart disease, and many other problems. The original diet, you know what it was, right? Nuts, fruits, grains, vegetables. And if you get those as whole a condition as possible, there's no question that you are on the best possible diet. Well, what are the things that people add to their diet that are really against them? Well, one of them is meats of basically all varieties. There's every evidence that the more meat you eat, the quicker you get your cancer, and the more likely you're to have your heart attack, etc. So actually, I've been a lifelong vegetarian. My parents, when they got married, they were both reared on a farm, and they had their usual farm diet. But when they got married, because of some things that they had learned in the Adventist church, they decided that they would become vegetarians. And so they raised the four of us kids as vegetarians. If you're raised a vegetarian, the concept of eating meat completely blows your mind. If you want to know how you would think about it, let me suggest that I have a pan full of worms I just got from the garden, and I stewed it up for you. How would you think about it? You would think, I'm not going to eat that. Well, that's the way if you're raised a vegetarian. You're going to eat that dead animal? I remember I went to my grandmother's house. I was probably 4, maybe 5 years old. They were still eating certain kinds of meat. And I went to the kitchen and they were working this chicken over. I couldn't figure out. It looked like, they were salt and butter and I don't know what all. I went to my mother and I said, I think they're going to eat that dead hen. That's the concept that you have if you've been reared a vegetarian. In the last several years of my life, I've been largely what you call vegan. Maybe not a purist. If I come to your house and you've made the meal and it doesn't have any meat in it, I'm not going to ask you, did you use any milk or cheese or anything like that. But the facts are that the things that are not in the meat category are probably like cheese and the milk products are very stimulating, particularly for certain cancers, particularly breast cancer and prostate cancer. And I've reached the conclusion that cheese is addictive. You try to get anybody to give up cheese and they turn blank, This is something that I basically can't conceive of, is getting rid of my cheese. So I think there is something addictive in the cheese that the person that is having that has a hard time getting rid of it, but I think as far as protecting the breast is concerned and the prostate, some of us are, I think most everybody here has at least one of those organs. I think getting rid of the dairy and the cheese is probably also very important. So, if you haven't tried a vegetarian diet, that's a good place to start, and then hopefully nutrition can be progressive. You can learn more. Come to more cooking schools like they had here, and go home and try it. And in all honesty, you don't need to spend a lot of time. Just chop up a few vegetables and cook them. Our breakfast, I'll have to admit that I basically put that together because my good wife is out on her 2-mile hike. And so it's pretty simple, Get some oats and some water, and I throw a little chia seed in there, and a tablespoon or 2 of flax, and then if you want to, I have a sort of a variety. One day we get the dried cherries and Yeah, we're here. I go to the Costco and we get their triple berries. And once a week, take a tablespoon and put in about 3 tablespoons of those triple berries. And boy, that comes out good. And then go to your produce store and buy all kinds of fruits. And that makes a tremendous breakfast and totally nutritious. Oh yes, my wife has been trying to teach me for a long time that have some beans with your breakfast, which slows down the digestion of your carbohydrates, so you don't get quite so high in the blood sugar level. So it's simple. Then she makes the lunch. I'm not going to try to compete with her, but it's good, and it's just simple whole foods. And and I think it's good if you're retired, eat only 2 meals a day. 3 is more than you actually need, you know. I get up in the morning and first thing I do is study my Bible. I found out that the best way to get your Bible study in is make it number 1 for the day. Because otherwise you get so occupied that you forget to get back to your Bible. So I study my Bible, then I go do the exercises. I used to do the walking and jogging, but I don't do that anymore, but I got some tools downstairs like treadmills and bikes and other things and weights. So then I get the exercise, and then by that time, I'm starting the breakfast, and she's getting back from her situation. So we're eating our breakfast probably 10:30. Then you're not hungry again till about 3 or 4 o'clock. So that's a good way. Keep your weight trim and don't get extra calories. Okay, let's move on to exercise. You need exercise. Exercise, you know, is good for your muscles and your heart, but you know what is good for that you really want to protect? Your brain. Been shown that if you get good exercise, your brain is much less likely to deteriorate in some kind of brain disease. And I think if there's anything you don't want is to get lost going to the store or something of that nature. Yes, I still drive. So, well, no, I tell you that actually is a warning. Just remember, there may be 100-year-old guys out there driving. So keep your eyes open and watch out. Yes.
They want to follow you. You seem to know how to avoid problems.
Yeah. Anyway, I went to the bank. It was a couple years ago already, and they asked me for identification. I showed them my driver's license. She looked at it and said, "You didn't drive here, did you?" Well, so some people think don't worry. I've hid the keys. The kids can't. I got one hid in case the kids. No, that's not true. I hope that when I get to the place where I am a risk, someone will suggest, Arthur, I think you should give up. But we still use it, and it's very valuable. So get your exercise, protect your heart, protect your brain, increase your muscles, and keep your functioning. If you don't use them, you lose them. That's true of most everything in life. Then you see the next thing they list is water. That's the best thing to drink. Maybe I should talk about what you should get rid of from drinking. And the thing I think is the most deleterious that people are drinking comes in cans. And it may say Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, or some kind of other frequently caffeinated drinks. And if you have a weight problem, that's the best thing to quit, is all those, anything that comes in a can, basically. Because they lead to diabetes, overweight. And caffeine is another addictive thing as you may have to work to get rid of, like you find in your coffee and your tea and your colas and the like. But water is the best thing. And if we're talking about liquids, perhaps we should talk about the substitute dairy products. It's interesting, several years ago, I walked in a store and here they had soy milk for sale. I couldn't believe it because I'd been using powdered soy milk and water for a number of years. But here they were selling it at Myers. Yet, and how could that be? And now you can go to any store and they have all kinds of vegetarian milks or vegan milks, oats, macadamia, cashew, almond. The commonest one is almond, and I think it tastes real nice, but I don't use it. You know why? Because you only get 1 gram of protein per glass. Whereas if you use soy milk, you get 7 or 8 grams of protein per glass. And far as I have noticed, all the other nut milks are very low in protein, usually 1 gram per glass. Whereas the soy, you have a question?
Yeah, when you're done, just about the soy. I heard soy was bad for the thyroid. Is there any truth in that? Is the man that
Somebody, remember that when you age, one of the things that happens is your hearing sort of deteriorates.
She heard that soy was bad for the thyroid.
Soy milk is
it
Bad for the thyroid.
Oh, there's a lot of myths about soy milk out there. You'll never get thyroid problem. You can look at me. I drink about a quart a day because I take a little bit with my meals. Because one of the things that does happen as you age is all your muscles get a bit weaker. Your vocal muscles, you probably, I don't speak like I used to speak. Your esophageal muscles, your walking muscles, your gut muscles, Even your sphincters can get a little weaker as you get older. So I drink a little soy milk when I eat as well. Typically, you don't recommend using liquids with meals, but if you're 90 plus, it's okay. If you have been drinking almond milk, I would suggest switch to soy milk. You will learn to like it. There's a lot of myths out there about soy milk. Yes?
I hear about soy, and for the latest fibroids, they shouldn't have drink soy milk. Oh, shouldn't have anything with soy milk because of the ladies. They get like the fibroids, in the breast and stuff. What do you think about that?
I didn't get the question.
Okay.
Oh, the men have a higher estrogen? Well, I've had soy milk most of my life, and I had 6 kids. That should tell you there that it didn't hurt too much. The estrogen that's in the soy is a different estrogen than the estrogen in the human. Fact is, there was a time when they thought that if a person had, for instance, had breast cancer, they shouldn't use soy milk. Then they got a study out of China that showed the more soy milk that a woman that had breast cancer used, the less likely she was to get a recurrence. So I think what may be happening is that this estrogen actually ties up the estrogen receptors in the cells. So if you've had a breast cancer, soy milk in the Chinese study showed that they were better off with soy than without it.
I have a question. I eat a lot of tofu, and again, that's probably soy. A lot of people think out there that tofu is not good for you at all. What do you think about tofu? I agree that it's good for you, but I just want your opinion on tofu.
Tofu, I think, is somewhat a refined thing. Better to eat the soybean itself, but I see nothing wrong with occasionally having some tofu in your stir fry or using it sometime in your cooking. It's a good protein and also a good fat. So I don't think, we'll get to the questions a bit. Let's keep the questions a little bit to the end. So liquid is quite simple. Water on the inside and water on the outside. Don't be afraid to take a shower every day. I typically do that. I only use soap twice a week. But keep your pores nice and clean, and it can actually be therapy. So when I get in the shower, I turn the water up as hot as I can tolerate it. And when I get up a good sweat in the shower, then I just take the knob and throw it full cold. It will get your attention. But it's actually been shown to be beneficial, including increasing your immune response and increasing your blood count. And if you have an illness that you want to get rid of in a hurry, go to the shower, and instead of doing it just once, like I do in the morning, do it about 3 times. Hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. And you'll find that you'll get over it a lot quicker. Okay, sunshine. You need it. Thankfully, the Lord gave you sunshine today. I was looking the other day and I said, I'm afraid that at their meeting they're going to have problems. Looks like there'll be some rain, but I looked at it today and it said nothing before 6, so that's good that you're here. Sunshine, we know, is also a cancer preventative thing, but too much of it can produce skin cancer as well. In Michigan, one of the problems is I don't think we get enough sunshine. And because the sunshine converts to vitamin D in your skin, so that's one of the few supplements that I recommend that a person take a vitamin D tablet a day, a couple thousand units. And you should have, when you get your annual physical, check your vitamin D and see what level it is and discuss this with your physician. T here they have for temperance. What does that mean? Well, everything should be done temperately, right? Don't overeat, don't even overdrink, but certainly leave off the alcohol. And of course, along with that, tobacco. Get those things out of the system. Pardon? We'll get the questions in a minute. A stands for air. You need fresh air. Ideally, it's good to do your exercise outside, particularly in nature, if you can find that. I don't know where you live, but if you can hear the birds sing, if you can see the trees and the flowers, and do your exercise outside, it's great. And it can also be very valuable if you find yourself really stressed. You don't know how to handle it. You got some bad news. Go for a long walk in nature. That's a great way to get rid of your stress. Deep breathing. Take a deep breath. Breathe from your abdomen, and that's good. Rest. You need rest. Ideally, go to bed the same time every day and get up at the same time every day so you kind of get your system tuned as to what goes on. Those of you who may have traveled a lot overseas or something know how disruptive it can be to try to get your body back in rhythm after you've visited Europe or something like that. That's why I preferred to take our mission trips to South America, because there wasn't much change in time in South and Central America, whereas if we went to Africa or someplace like that, you come back, it takes you 3 or 4 days to get yourself back in shape. And remember this. You need to give yourself a vacation now and then.
That's right.
Don't keep charging on. Your system may get overloaded, but you come back more effective. And then, of course, a rest day like the Sabbath. We look forward for every Sabbath. Things we change completely. Things that I do during the week, I don't do on the Sabbath. I leave the mail in the box. Most of it goes in the recycle anyway. I turn off the television and the radio, and if I want something, I get some nice music, something of that nature. I read spiritual material. And so it's a fun day. And somebody said to me, Arthur Weaver, as a Seventh-day Adventist, there's a lot of things you can't do on Sabbath. I said, I can do anything I want to do, but I'm so happy there's a lot of things I don't have to do. I don't have to mow the lawn. I don't have to change the oil. You understand what I don't have to go shopping because we've already done and taken care of that. This is a day for God and for family. And we need both. Okay, so get your rest. Probably, ideally, 8 hours a night at the minimum. 7 or 8, 9. As you get a little older, at least I've found out I'm sleeping a little more. Sometimes during the day. I've got my kids got me one of those easy chairs, you know what I'm talking about? Yes. You got a buzzer, they'll throw you out even. But if I need a little extra sleep, I just need to have a good meal and then read a little bit. And I don't have to worry about it. It takes care of itself. All right, final, trust in God. If you have trust in God, you can handle most anything. It isn't that you don't have sorrow. It isn't that you don't have stressful situations. You will, but you will handle them differently because you know that you are cared for by the eternal living God. And so, happy living. And I will take questions now. What's your questions? Yes. Well, I taught medical students and residents for about 35 years. So that if that made me a teacher, I guess I qualify.
Yeah, and siblings, you said you had 3 of them. There was 4 of you in your family. Are they still with you?
Your siblings, brothers and sisters, do you have still alive?
Yes, I have 2 children that have died.
Your brother and sister.
Oh, I have one sister that's living of the 3 that I had to start with. And she called us on the way over here, actually. I think she is 93, somewhere of that nature. Yes?
When's your birthday?
My birthday is November 29. Actually, I was born on Thanksgiving. So every 7 years, I have a birthday on Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving rotates through the week. Yes?
What's the most important thing your mother taught you? What's the most important thing your mom taught you?
What's the most important thing you remember?
No, your mother taught you. Your mother taught you.
Oh, my mother taught me. My mother had a problem. But I had a way of getting even with her. Yeah, she was scared of snakes. So I'd get a little garden garter snake and stick it in my pocket and walk in the house, and it would stick its head out, and Mother would say, "Get that thing out of here." But my mother taught me was, I think, obedience. Yes. When she wanted something done, she would ask it, and she expected it done. And my father was very reinforcing in that attitude. If they said to do something and you didn't do it, you knew there would be consequences. Yes. Other questions? Yes, one back here.
What do you think of a raw plant-based diet?
A plant-based
Raw.
raw?
Yep.
Well, I think raw is good. I don't think it's necessary that it all be raw. And I don't think it's necessary, you probably throw me out, it's necessary that it all be organic. Your body is good at handling small amounts of toxins. I think all fruits and vegetables should be thoroughly washed, but maybe it's because I'm careful with money. And I don't think there's enough fear for me to pay the prices that they ask for the organic food. If you can get it, that's good. I think it may be some advantage in it, but most things are pretty safe, I think. Okay. Yes, at least it worked for me. Let's put it that way.
Okay, what brand of soy milk do you drink?
What
What
brand?
brand?
Yeah.
Kirtland. Well, Kirtland, you know, you get 12 in a box for about $15, something like that, quarts, and there's shelf life, and take and stick them in your refrigerator if you choose. And why do I buy Kirtland? Because it's cheaper.
And Brazil nuts. Can you tell me?
Yes.
For patients that had cancer, what was very helpful for reducing or eliminating it during your time?
Well, a cancer patient, I think, should eliminate all animal products. That's the beginning, including dairy. I do know people that have been cured from cancer with, carrot diet or whatever, but that's rare. And I think if you have cancer, get the best doctor you can find, and then get the best diet and lifestyle you can have, and then make sure that your will is up to date, and that make sure that you got rid of all guilt and everything is right between you and God. We're all here on a temporary basis. Some of us get a little more than others, but I think none of us know that we have tomorrow. So live today like the Lord was coming today. Yes?
Tell them the benefits of a handful of mixed nuts.
Well, a handful of mixed nuts is good. In general, there's only a few nuts that have been studied. Walnuts were the first one that was studied. A handful of walnuts a day reduces your risk of heart attack 50%. That's been studied and has definitely been studied more than once. So it's we know that walnuts are good, but we also know that all the nuts are good. And yes, I try to get a handful a day. Yes.
With what happened in the last couple of years, you seem to have survived COVID. You seem to very well. Can you help us as lay people understand who to trust with what goes on when there's sorts of disputes? What should we listen to, or who should we listen to?
Well, you listen to the good Lord. You make sure that everything is right. But if you're following all of these programs, your chances of dying are much less. I did have COVID when I was probably, what was it, 3 years ago? When it was first coming around. Whenever I had it, and I had the COVID, and by the grace of God, I survived it, and the old people were supposed to be at more risk, but I did fine. Yes. Yes.
Okay, wine and coffee, can you expound on that? What is your take on wine and coffee?
Why no coffee? Well, because what does it do? It drives you, makes you think you're not tired. You need to know when you're tired. And when you're tired, what do you need?
Sleep.
You need rest. You don't need coffee to make you think you can go on. And if you wake up in the morning and have had adequate rest, you shouldn't need to have a cup of coffee to get going. And there has been some studies that show the risk, and I'll admit it may be minimal, of increased cancer risk for some cancers with the caffeine. But I would think the main thing is you don't want to keep driving yourself when what you need is to stop. Okay? Yes?
When it comes to water, this alkaline water that the Christians say is better than regular. What do you think about alkaline water? What do you think about
I think the kind of water you get ought to be as clean and as pure and as taste-free as you can, and I wouldn't pay extra money for the alkaline water. I don't, let's put it that way. I don't pay extra money for alkaline water. Yes?
What's your thoughts on chocolate?
Chocolate is my weakness. And I put that under the temperate one once in a while. But the caffeine in chocolate is pretty low. And you don't use the chocolate to wake up. But that, if I were to say had a weakness, I make an exception now and then. Mostly dark chocolate because it doesn't have milk in it, mostly covering some nut, which provides some nutrition. And someone gave me for my birthday, that was in November, 100 dark chocolate covered pecans. And I'll tell you that at least half of them are still left. Yes.
Should we take vitamins?
Should we take vitamins?
Vitamins, as I said, there's only 2 vitamins that the vegetarian might have some trouble with. One of them is vitamin B12. The other one is vitamin D. I think you should have them both checked annually. And if your B12 is down, it's very simple. Just take a B12. But vitamins in general, I don't recommend, but those 2 I do ask my doctor to have a test on them to see what level they are.
What about probiotics?
Probiotics are fine, but I don't think you need them in general unless you're having diarrhea or something. You make your body, your bowels are loaded with bacteria. 1,000 different varieties probably to start with. There may be indication if there is bowel problems for probiotics, but typically I don't think you need them. Okay, yes?
You have a doctor, I'm assuming. Do you listen to him or do you teach him?
Well, my family practitioner is a woman, an internist, because you're supposed to have one, right? You're supposed to get an annual physical or something. But I'm generally self-taught. And I take some instructions from a woman that lives with me. That's because that's safe. All righty, well, thank you. Wait, do you have a question, young lady?
Tell them what happened to you trying to go through TSA at the airport when you were 100 years old.
TSA at the airport.
PSA, yeah, if you're male, you should get one.
TSA, T as in Tom.
Oh, TSA?
TSA at the airport.
Oh, okay, she wants me to tell you. We were flying to California, and we got to the checkout, where you go through security. I got there and give them my pass and the driver's license. And he looked at driver's license and he says, "You can't go through here." Well, I said, "Why not?" "Well, the computer says you're 4 months old." Somehow, either they or my good wife, who put the tickets in, got the date as 2024 instead of 23, but after about an hour and a half, we got it straightened out that I really was 100 years old and was not a 4-month-old trying to get through.
One more thing, this is the trust at the very end. And we have one couple.
Well, come up here and tell them.
I was just going to invite Mary Lou to come up and to end this with you. I appreciate very much Mary Lou coming with Dr. Arthur Weaver.
There's the woman that chased me down.
And I wanted to give you the opportunity, if you'd like to get a picture of the two of them together. I think that would be very nice.
Tell how you guys met.
Pardon?
Tell how you met. It's so cute.
My first husband died of cancer when he was in his early 60s. 2 years later, my mother died. She was my best friend, and she worked with me in the prison ministry, which, by the way, Arthur does huge amount for our prison ministry. We have about 1,500 that are on our active list, and we send letters and Bible studies to them, and he does all the mail and everything. So he's got more than he can possibly do. But I was sitting at my computer listening to a TED Talk on grief because my mom had died. And I had had several dates with several men after my husband died, after several years, but there was nobody that really clicked. And after my mother died, I went through her address book because she died in just 10 days. She had a stroke. She was in her 90s, and she had been a lifelong health nut. And so I sent these out to everybody in her address book. And right near the end was the last name Weaver.
Well, I got this letter because her father was in medical school with me, believe it or not. And I got this letter from this lady signed Mary Lou, and I didn't know, I knew her parents, but I didn't know anything about Mary Lou. And I didn't know whether she was single, widowed, married, or what. But she sent this letter telling her mother had died. Her mother had been a family friend, actually. And had a little note at the bottom, if you have something you want to share or something, here's the phone you can call. Well, I figured my Christian responsibility to call and commiserate and share with her. So I called her.
And the phone rang, and I put my computer on pause, and I heard this voice. And I've never been the same since.
She thought I had a sexy voice.
I still do.
Do you disagree?
How long it took before you got married?
As soon as he hung up, we talked for 30 minutes. I know exactly how long we talked because I took a screenshot of my search. There was the TED Talk, and then there was Arthur Weaver surgeon, Natalie Weaver obituary, Dr. Weaver's Stop Smoking videos. I immediately watched the whole #1 of the Stop Smoking, and I decided then and there to quit smoking, but I had never
She thought I
smoked.
still looked like that.
So I immediately thought, this man's 96 years old. But you know what? My first husband was only 64, and he was dead, and this man was alive. And so I started praying and thanking the Lord. And do you know, a couple days later, I sent him an email. I had found his email, and I sent a little quote that said, God gives the opportunity. Our success depends on our use made of the opportunity. And I sent that to Arthur.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, I got that, and I said, well, it looks like she wants a phone buddy. She lives on the west coast. I live in Michigan. Nothing will happen. Do I want to spend an hour or so a week talking to some woman that I don't know? And I tossed it back and forth, and finally I noticed on that thing it said I would appreciate another call or something to that effect. And so I called her back, and that was the mistake. A happy mistake, I might say.
So long story short, we got talking. Pretty soon we were talking and texting. Pretty soon we were talking, texting, emailing. And pretty soon he said, I've got to go out and meet this lady and find out. And then he remembered he needed to tell his kids that he was phone dating. And they were somewhat taken aback. And so within about a month, he was out visiting me. And he brought along with him a watch.
Yeah, and I figured I ought to have a gift, because I told my kids I would either come back engaged or it would be all off, because this was too much time talking, and so I kept the receipt to the watch and kept that in my suitcase till I wanted to actually, I told them I was going out to see if she could cook. Because I have heard that sex doesn't last, but cooking does. And so I went out to find out whether I wanted to marry this woman that I had been talking to. We discussed everything you can discuss on the phone or otherwise. And so I had a sister that lived in the same town, and stayed with her for the night and spent the days with Mary Lou and checking out her cooking, and it was satisfactory. And so at the end of the week, I got down on one knee and proposed, and it's been love ever since.
So I thought when I said, yes, we'll get married, I thought maybe it might be around Thanksgiving time or something like this. This was in June. No, he wanted to get married before family camp, because he didn't think it would be good for us to just be there not married at family camp. And do you know when family camp was going to be?
What?
When's family camp?
Well, it's the last weekend in August.
So here we were in June, and so we got the wedding together, and we got the honeymoon planned. We got to go to Costa Rica, and Kenny Mitchell was the minister, and everybody said it was the most fun wedding they'd ever been to. So I just want to say God is so good, and to get to live together with Arthur and work on projects together is just such a great privilege.
You wanna tell 'em about the
On the Temperance, not Temperance, Trust in God, we have a special book that we brought, a complimentary book for anybody that would like one. There are 49 short chapters about how to have faith in God, what Jesus has done for us, and I know you will be blessed. Brother Jones and Wagner gave these talks and wrote these articles back in the 1800s, but they are wonderful. I'm so glad we got to be here with all of you. You've been wonderful.